welcome, folks, once again to the Star Esports, where we have an amazing matchup for you tonight. We're going down into the dread of the losers bracket, where we are going to see Ignition versus Kryix. I'm going to be your play-by-play for the evening, Captain Jack, joined by the amazing Dividing coming in on the analyst role, and as always, we have refused on production. Dividing, how you doing, fam? It's been a while since we've gotten to cast together, and this is going to be one heck of a matchup, because at the end of the day, one of these teams have got to go home.
I could not be more excited today, Jack. First of all, the fabled Dividing Jack duo has been a rarity, and we get to see it now on the Star Esports live channel. But this is a really interesting game coming up here, because we started off this competition with 14 teams who signed up for the Star Esports Brawl. At the end of the day, Jack, we will have our top 8 secured. The other 7 spots have already been decided. Ignition and Kryix battling out here in this final losers bracket round 2 matchup to decide the final one. So lots on the line here, kind of getting into that kind of upper echelon of the tier 3 community. Gain a little bit more of that clout by getting to that point.
That's absolutely true. And we want to remind you all, as always, if you love the action you hear at Star Esports, be sure to hit that punch that bell so you get notified every time that we're online. You can also hit that sub button. It is September after all, so you get that extra 20% off. So that is $3.99, or Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime sub will give you access to some amazing emotes, as well as support this amazing community. We're actually still waiting for Kryix to get in the lobby right now. So let's go ahead and take a look, see at some of the notes that we have on this team. So Kryix, I know, is very familiar to me just because of their top 8 placement in North American Open Division during this recent cycle. You know, they were going up against teams such as Drifters, Best Buds, you know, ISU, but we won't talk about them. You know, there were a lot of amazing teams in that top 8, and Kryix was one of them. So to me, it's a little interesting, and it makes me wonder if maybe it was just luck that allowed Kryix to get as far as they did in Open Division when we're already seeing them in the lower bracket for this tournament.
Yeah, it is very interesting, of course. Kryix actually has only had 1 match so far in Star Esports Live. They had a bye in the first round and then lost to Hog Mafia in round 2, a brand new team made up of, honestly, players that have known each other for a very long time, and they they specialize in those sort of spam compositions. And I guess Kryix had a little bit of trouble dealing with that, maybe just not quite the traditional team that you usually go up against in scrims. This is their chance at redemption, though, going up against Ignition, a team that honestly hasn't reached the peaks that Kryix has. They're an organization that's been around for a long time. They have a bunch of different teams in the console scene, but as far as PC Open Division, they've never quite hit that big achievement to be considered among the best of tier 3. However, they've always kind of been around that sort of tier 3 area, but they've never quite been able to break through. For Ignition, this is a game that could really legitimize them in the eyes of many.
Oh, I can definitely concur with that. I think one thing to really be looking out for is just where we are. I got a chance to take a look at the bracket real quick, and we are sitting in losers round 2. So, folks, we have got still a long haul for the rest of this tournament, as the winner of tonight's matchup will end up meeting Solstice Esports in an upcoming matchup to be able to continue that lower bracket run. As we kind of look at the rest of the bracket right now, sitting in the finals right now is Gaia Esports versus Andy's Daycare. So just knowing that both of these teams, I don't believe either of them ended up fighting one of the finalists for this section, it's needless to say going to be difficult for them. If they had a hard time dealing with other teams, what is their what's to say that they're going to be able to make it that far to be able to meet one of those teams in the finals again?
Very true. I think Ignition's actually going to be a pretty good test for them. I was able to watch their first game of the tournament, Ignition's game, versus Drippin' Heat. And they seem to rely a lot on the Pharah of Life. It was a big reason why they were able to win the first round of that series, but then Drippin' Heat were able to adjust to that and were able to take the next 3 maps in response. If Ignition are going to go with mostly the same game plan and Kryix has done their homework, then they should be expecting these sort of spammy Pharah compositions, tons of burst damage, but also has to play a little bit slower to give their Pharah time to chunk down the tanks and DPS of the opposing team. So I think the question is, Kryix, can they have they done their homework? Can they adjust that style of gameplay? For Ignition, are they going to continue to play this sort of Pharah composition? And if they do, are they able to follow up on what Life is able to give them more often?
Well, the great thing is that they're actually going to have a good test of that, because the first map of the evening is going to be Nepal. So definitely a lot of space for Pharah to be able to kind of control the skies. And it's going to be it's going to be up to Kryix, rather, to kind of turn the tide of that and see if they can kind of push back against the ferocity of that Pharah.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially against in the sort of the village map that has a lot of open spaces. Pharah gets used a lot. Starting off though on Shrine, this is a little bit difficult for Pharah because over the point itself there is, the ceiling of the shrine. So Pharah has trouble poking in through those windows and getting value that way. And as we see, Life, still has 10 seconds to change his mind, but we're seeing Sombras and Symmetras from both sides. This is very interesting to me. Sombra, obviously, super powerful pick with the hacks and the EMPs, but hasn't been seen as quite meta for a little bit. Has sort of been on the outside looking in. But Life and Depresso are going to be facing off there on the hacker.
Yeah, and that's going to be a great place to go ahead and get started. We see the rotation coming out from Kryix right now as they try to work their way into the objective hidden, looking to see if they can gain that percentage in their favor, but the point is still waiting to be unlocked. Right now, Kryix has got it locked down for the most part. First pick comes in from Ram, able to get that click onto hidden to start things off, and that percentage is going to go ahead and keep climbing as the cleanup continues to come in. Big hack coming in on to Seraphim, but the Immortality Field saves the day. Maxwell and Specs go ahead and get some payback for that hack and go ahead and send Ignition back to spawn.
The Zenyatta in these comps that both these teams are running is going to be crucial. A lot of what these teams are trying to do with their Wrecking Ball pile drivers and the dives from the Tracer and the Diva is to follow up on the Discord orbs from their Zenyatas. Can the Zenyatta effectively apply those Discord orbs? Can they apply the damage themselves? Ram, getting the opening pick, showed that he had the upper hand in that first engagement.
That's absolutely true. Big slam coming in from Seraphim, taking hidden out of the fight, but Maxwell being down 2 is going to go ahead and eat up the board. EMP coming out from Depresso, finds 3, but the cleanup's gotta be there. So Port's not the ones targeted by the MP, but is the ones targeted by Narwhal's Ant Matrix. 60% and climbing as Kryix continue to hold.
2 fights already down, and we're already looking at potential last fight territory here for Ignition to take control. However, this is their best chance. Life has the EMP, and they know Depresso used his EMP on the other side. So all that you're going to have to worry about if your Life is getting into the back and making sure Ram gets caught by this EMP or a preemptive hack doesn't get caught.
Doesn't get caught, but does grab 2. The Transcendence now coming out from a door to be able to kind of fight back. as we head into final fight territory. It looks like we might be seeing some life out of Ignition, yet the rally comes out from Legola to be able to get that D-Mech, and there it is. The picks coming in. Specs, Narwhal, and Seraphim being sent back in body bags, and that'll be Control heading on over to Ignition.
The Transcendence from Ram, even though he wasn't caught in the EMP, still came out a little bit late. Was allowed Hidden to get an early pick off, and then the sustainability from Legola's rally was able to push them through. However, they have to have a perfect defense now to take this first round in Nepal, and Depresso is 10% of the way to his second EMP of the round. Neither support on the side of Ignition is even close to their ultimate.
That's true. We do see the minefield coming out from Seraphim, but gets hacked out as well. EMP from Depresso grabs one, and they're able to clean up Hidden in tow. They're going to flip the point at the 40%, but Ignition is still around. Somebody's got to touch that point, but nobody can get to it in time. No Charlie Niner, just a lot of pressure coming out from the side of Kryix right there, but they still got a shot. Just first map of the series thus far, but definitely puts Kryix in a good position.
And Ram, once again, coming up big for his team. The Zenyatta on the side of Kryix got a total of 3 picks in that fight. Some beautiful stuff coming out from Kryix there, just showing that when it came to those high-powered sort of spam comps, with the Wrecking Ball and the Diva and the Sombra, they were the ones who pretty significantly outclassed Ignition. Now, as we move into our second round, we come to a bit of a shakeup from Kryix, as Seraphim's going to move over to the Winston. We're seeing more of the same, for the most part, from Ignition, but a little bit more sustainability, a little bit more rush, sort of 6-man brawl on the side of Kryix.
Yeah, we did see that rush come in there. Didn't even give a chance for Ignition to get out of spawn, and we already saw them rushed up to the gates, and it looks like Ignition actually going to go ahead and give up the point for free to swap composition now. They're going to be coming in.
Yeah, they saw the 6-man rush, and they went, yeah, you know what? We're just going to go straight over to Brawl. That Winston's going to have a lot of trouble dealing with the Reaper and McCree, and they are absolutely correct as Seraphim goes down early.
Yeah, the Cowboy just going to be too much to handle, but with the double kill, sending them into the Sanctum depths. But nevertheless, the point still remains in Kryix's control for now.
That was so clutch coming out from Narwhal, and gets a third one onto life to clean things up. They have families, sir. As now, and there's a fourth. That one's going on the Twitter montage. Narwhal, take a bow, my friend. Kryix with 45% and climbing now. Ignition looking very outclassed. They're gonna move. Seraphim's gonna move on to a Reinhardt of his own here to try and contest pair. Also, a door has swapped onto Lucio of her own, so we're seeing rush mirrors coming out from both these teams.
All right, well, Narwhal is holding incredibly strong. You might as well call them fairy godmother, because they have the bippity boppity booper coming in right now. Let's see if they can take advantage of that light. Wait, what? Oh, dang! Specs wants to get in on the action there. I was about to say, I was like, that's too many bodies being sent over the side there. Not everybody can wraith like life can, but that EMP from Depresso locks in the team kill, and that's going to keep on climbing. We're headed into last fight territory for the side of Ignition. They have got to get the fire lit if they want to take this point.
90% and counting for Ignition. They're going to have some ultimates to use, but it was only the EMP on the other side, so pretty much all 5 of the other ultimates are online for Kryix.
There we go. Blossom and Self-Destruct get traded right there, but Depresso back in, gets the nano on the Doomfist, and just starts cleaning it right on up. Overtime is going to tick away, and there is nothing that Ignition can do. No remix of this time around, folks, as Kryix goes ahead and locks down Nepal, grabbing their first map of the series.
A perfect map for Kryix there. 200% to 0 on Nepal. Ignition decided to sort of play into their game, mirror their comps, and they got burned for it over and over again. Kryix just proved when it comes to the mirror matchups, they come out ahead, at least in those two comps that we saw on Nepal.
That's absolutely true, and that's one of the hard things that is becoming difficult for the side of Ignition. Right? They're trying to swap up compositions so that it can work out well in their favor, but at the end of the day, it's just not. It's not giving them the success looking for. You know, we saw the flank train come out from life there at the end, and you already just saw Specs just zooming on in to grab the cowboy and send him over the edge before the team even had a second thought. They just weren't moving fast enough for the pace that Kryix is setting right now, and that's okay. Maybe on a map like Control, you know, we always consider that the warm up. So
True.
we'll go ahead and see in this next map. It looks like we are. It's a map you're supposed to ban there, Kryix, and not a hero. Although I'm sure many people in the chat would agree to ban Widowmaker. But nevertheless, we'll wait and see what that ban is. The great part about it is that they have the choice from throughout the entire pool to choose from. So even if a certain map type gets a map banned, they don't necessarily have to pick that map type.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as we are not repeating map types, the choice is completely limitless, except it is limited by the map pool, but limitless by you can pick whatever else is in the map pool. Ooh. And if I'm Ignition, I'm thinking of what can I be doing to try and force Kryix out of their comfort zone, try and predict what they're going to pick, and then counter pick them. When it came to Nepal, we saw Ignition and Kryix sort of go head-to-head on the same mirror matches. You know, Ignition was able, on the second map, they started off on a different comp, but then swapped to sort of match Kryix's playstyle, and they just got burned over and over again. Kryix did a fantastic job playing the mirror. So if I'm Ignition, I'm saying, let's try and mix things up a little bit and throw a hero at them that they're not expecting. And we see Kryix banned Volskaya to start off because we don't want to play 2 CP. And in response, Ignition goes with Gibraltar, which is going to show something very different. It's a dive-oriented Diva comps we saw on Shrine sort of were that dive, but we're looking for a little more of that sort of Winston Diva, those double bubble comps. Gibraltar offers a ton of opportunity for unorthodox comps that we didn't really get to see so far in this matchup.
Yeah, and I think that is going to be the goal here. It looks like teams are also going to be swapping sides based on what I'm seeing. So we'll be seeing Ignition going on to the attack to start things off, which is definitely going to put them in an interesting position, especially if they're going to pull out that Pharah that we were talking about earlier, which is completely possible on a map like Gibraltar. The only issue is that when you get into Objective Bravo, into the hangar, it is much more difficult to run that Pharah. I mean, if you can control ship, great. Like that works out very well for you. You don't even need Pharah flying around. You have all that room to kind of walk around on top of that ship and just kind of grab various angles with that Pharah. But if you can't grab control of that, it just becomes a shooting gallery. You know, Pharah goes this way, dink. Pharah goes that way, dink. And just back and forth and back and forth. And there's nothing that you can do about it. So it's going to be up to Ignition to really figure out kind of what the strategy is going into this, and hopefully being willing to be flexible. Time isn't always going to be on their side, but they have a lot more time to work with than what we saw on Nepal.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely more than other maps, you know, teams get a chance to sort of regroup and replan their fights more than on Control. Control is a map type that is very fast-paced, which is good for gameplay, but as far as actually like planning out what you want to do in the next fight, it is not as great. As Ignition prepares for their attack here, we're going to be seeing Winston Diva compositions coming out from both sides. So like we said, this is something new. We saw it briefly come out on Nepal, but it got taken away got taken away in favor of the Reinhardt. Ryan would have a lot of trouble here, though.
That's true, but it kind of depends on the areas of the map that you're in. And again, it's all about, at the end of the day, it's about coordination and communication. Already, the first hack coming in onto Spida, though, to see if they can go ahead and zone them out. Not going to be seeing any TP strats to try to see if they can take control over the high ground, but we do see Life in the back line, able to find Ram. The horns have been shaven down, and that payload is going to go ahead and make its way into the underground as we go ahead and see Ignition take control of the high ground and start moving into Objective Alpha.
I think Seraphine actually messed up his jump a little bit there, tried to jump back up onto the high ground and instead sort of jumped over the bridge, and Ignition were ready to pounce as soon as he landed, allow them to take control in this first fight.
Ooh, that's not a good place to be there, Pear. You're going to get shaven and sent back by Seraphine with that big hack coming in from Depresso as well. With the payload stuck right now at 59 meters, they're heading into the side area, into the server room. Maxwell able to find Hidden as they go ahead and battle it out for control of the Mega Health Pack to see which team is going to be able to hold on to it longer. It looks like Ignition actually has control of it right now, but I can't be 100% for certain. Specs, though, getting the double kill is going to clean up the objective and shave another 45 seconds off that clock.
Beautiful hack there to start up the fight from Depresso. Pear went in, got hacked, couldn't get out, got taken down. And because of that, Kryix had the advantage for the rest of the fight. But now we get into the ultimate stage of the game. We really haven't seen very many ultimates come out from either team. So because of that, we have a potential for a 12 ultimate fight. I'm expecting things to be explosive. And in the end, this could be what determines the rest of this map, Jack.
Well, so much for that 12 ultimate fight, because Maxwell says, I'm gonna do things a little bit early here and go ahead and grab Legola.
Okay, 11 ultimate fight this time. 11 ultimate fight.
We'll see. We'll see. Well, actually, it looks like Hidden used theirs as well. Not even for certain where it ended up landing. There it is. Massive EMP coming out with the Rally and Nano. Talk about a huge investment right now. Self-destruct getting sent down by Specs, possibly for the quick remake. Finds Pear with the remake kill, and that without the main tank in the fight, that's going to go ahead and shut this sucker down. Seraphine is able to grab the door, a going away gift, as it were. We're down to the final minute of Ignition's push without an objective to be had.
Life swaps over to the Hanzo and immediately gets payment for it with a nice headshot kill onto Depresso. That Sombra has been such a thorn in the side of Ignition on every one of their pushes, and now not having to deal with her is going to be so big. Ram gets slept and taken down. No Ana for either side now. Ignition very clearly has the advantage as the fight rages on.
That's true. We see the Primal Rage coming out, but Life takes Seraphine's, and we'll go ahead and start moving in with the rest of the team to get that payload out of the underground. They've only got 30 seconds left on the clock, and they got to make something happen now.
They're moving so slowly, Ignition. You have the advantage. You just got to be able to push on it. Both Tank Ults and the Pulse Bomb, as well as the Dragon Strike from Life, by the way, who just recently swapped onto the Hanzo, is going to be coming up soon. They have the ultimate advantage. You just have to figure out the best way to push on it.
All right, well, let's see if they can lock it down now. Overtime now ticking away. It is go time. Dragon Strike and Self-Destruct gets traded, but the Self-Destruct finds itself on the high ground. EMP finds the tanks of Ignition, and Depresso melts down Pear like they're in the foundry. We do get some additional trades as the Nano goes in on to Spida, but the legs of this mech are only able to do so much damage, only able to block So far, and at 77.68 meters, we will go ahead and see Kryix once again lock it down.
And Ignition forced a fight in the console room, and I'm just not fully understanding why, because the comp of Kryix thrives in those close quarters brawls. You had the Hanzo, you had the advantage at long range. They just decided not to take advantage of that, and because of that, Kryix now finds themselves with an incredible win condition, just a little bit shy of the first point capture. Now, I do want to say I have seen teams be able to fuller hold on Gibraltar plenty of times, but it's looking like the momentum is very much on Kryx's side. Now, as we look into the attack from Kryix, Seraphine currently showing the Reinhardt, which would be a very ambitious play if he was to stick onto it. Interestingly, though, we talked about the flying characters from Life. We finally do see it. Life is going to be on the Echo, and Legola is going to be joining him on the Mercy. That flying character, there isn't going to be a ton for... honestly, looking at this comp, there is almost nothing on the side of Kryix that actually counters this sort of flying comp. They just got to try and brawl, as their comp suggests that they will, to try and deal with it. Actually, as they see it, Depresso is going to swap onto an Echo of his own, but he doesn't have a Mercy. A big disadvantage for them, as now, seeing this, Kryix is going to push back and change comps up a little bit, instead moving towards a Winston D.Va. That's going to work a lot better to deal with this Echo.
That is true. Hopefully the audio issues fixed a little bit. Sorry about that, folks. You know, tech not always on our side as casters, so we'll try our best to get that fixed if it isn't already. Ram with the initial pick onto Depresso is, onto Hidden. Or Life, rather. Gosh, I can't get names straight today. But look at this right now. Hidden is actually hiding behind the payload. Not allowing it to get through that underground. Gonna have to retreat back essentially into the enemy's lines, because that's pretty much the only safe place they have to go. Kryix has control of this, and we're heading into what could already be the final fight.
Yeah, Hidden in the back is going to be huge. If he can get off a bunch of damage or even a pick, that would be massive for Ignition. Actually, Life, with a very quick copy setup, is going to duplicate the Winston, so double monkeys on the field for Ignition with the double dive, and Ram never had a chance.
Oh, Air coming in here, the beautiful fruit slapping everybody around, but it's not going to be enough to hold the line just yet. Or sorry, that was Life. Actually, I was fooled by the duplicate, and no, my whiteboard. It hurts, and there's a divot at this point with how many times I've had to erase it. Just in Star Esports alone, they were right there. And they stepped up the point for just that little second. Maxwell right here cleaning it up, creating that space for them to be able to move and allow Kryix to secure that dub. That's going to bring us up 2-0 in our series right now, and dividing. I'm starting to feel that there's like a Captain Jack curse going around, because it's like every match that I've gotten is just an absolute stomp side.
Yeah, this is looking desperate coming out from Ignition now. No matter what they throw at Kryix, they seem more than willing and able to deal with it. At this point, we've seen Ignition come out with like 4 different compositions, 5 different play styles. It has not mattered. They have not been able to find that one missing piece that seems to be the thing that breaks the Kryix stranglehold on this match. And even when they do get the picks, get the early advantage in a fight, they have trouble following up on it for a full fight win. Feels like Kryix does a an amazing job of backing out, sort of playing the outside, making sure that Ignition can't push on their advantage more than they already have, and then they can regroup and push back in. That is what has impressed me the most about Kryix in this matchup so far, is their ability to bend but not break.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the issue that I'm having with this matchup is that we see Ignition breaking much more often than not. It seems that no matter what composition they come out with, not only is it difficult for them to run or coordinate, but it seems that there's not a there's no target focus. There's no goal set by the IGL as to, we're gonna do this and then we're gonna target this person. And I've seen this in the series of matches that I've casted thus far in this tournament, that when you run dive, you cannot send one person after the supports. You just can't. Like, if the supports are grouped together, especially if we're continuing to see like this Zenyatta Brig composition, Brig's only true job, other than throwing the random health pack here and there, is to protect Zenyatta. So it is always going to be a 2-on-1 fight, no matter who dives in. You could be Winston, you could be Diva, you could be Wrecking Ball, whoever you are, you dive in on that duo. Most of the time, you're getting deleted. Like, it's just not happening. And if you're DPS, forget it. Like, you're just not going to make that happen unless you're Reaper and you're able to get that click off real quick onto one of them before they even notice. So Ignition has one last chance here. They are backs against the wall right now, and it looked... I was about to say, we just played... You can't ban a map we just played. Ridiculous.
The teams are having trouble coming up with a map that's in the map pool. So
okay. It seems that the issue is that we did not study the map pool ahead of time. Well, let's go ahead and take a look. So we have played Nepal and Gibraltar, and as of right now, Volskaya is banned. So it is now kind of open keel. If we're looking for Assault, Hanamura and Temple of Anubis are still on the table, and until one of these maps gets banned, one of these other maps gets banned, for Hybrid, it's free sailing. It's Eichenwald, Kings Row, and Blizzard World. So all of those are available for Ignition. Dividing, if you were Ignition, and we still haven't seen that Pharah yet, which I'm a little surprised about. What would be the map that you'd think they would go to?
Yeah, it's tough because I want to be able to say, okay, well, Ignition seemed to find an advantage when they were playing this kind of comp, so they should be playing this map. The problem is they honestly have had trouble on basically anything they've thrown out. Kryix were able to quickly adjust and take the advantage once again. So, honestly, I'm going to say Eichenwald just because I want to see Eichenwald, and that map opens up a lot of opportunity for chaos.
So I would normally say Eichenwald as well for playing the Pharah, but honestly, I think that I want to go Kings Row. I like what I've seen from Kryix, but I don't think it's the same kind of playstyle that we've seen from like Andy's Daycare. I don't think that their dive is consistent enough, or would be consistent enough in a map that really requires you to kind of lock in those narrow passageways, because you got to be really skilled to be able to just kind of like zoom through there as Wrecking Ball and Diva, especially in that very quick divey playstyle. So and now we're having issues picking maps. Although, wait, are we allowed to do? Is that allowed? Because technically we've already played Control. So
yes,
far.
We are allowed to play Control. The only rule is that we can't repeat map types.
Ah, okay. Well,
so we've gone from Control to Escort. Now we can go back to Control again.
Gotcha. So we can't repeat them in tandem. I see. I'm still learning, folks. But going to Oasis, I have to say I'm kind of scratching my head here, dividing. When your back's against the wall, I don't know if Ignition is raising the white flag with this map pick and just wants it to be over, or if they truly feel that this map is going to be the one that helps them lock it down.
Well, we are seeing the Pharah initially from Life. There is chance to swap it, so I don't want to put too much emphasis on it quite yet. But I do want to say this Pocket Pharah from Life was one of the things I was most impressed about from this team when I watched them the first time. Nepal City Center is one of the best places to get it, but no, we're going to get the last second swap and swap back, and they're just trying to make up their minds. Life is, in fact, going to walk out on the Pharah. Legola is going to be supporting him on the Mercy, but we do have double hit scan coming out from Kryix, Maxwell on the Soldier, Depresso on the Cowboy. So honestly, it seems like maybe this move potated and read by Kryix.
Yeah, I think that they were definitely expecting it by this point if they paid any attention at all to Ignition's first matchup. And I mean, you gotta think about it with Ram and Specs on Zenyatta and Diva as well. That's just even more pressure on that Pharah to perform, and that's also two bodies you can't have directly on the objective to be able to contest and whatnot, which is the problem we're seeing right now. Max does get taken out, but the trade comes in onto a door from Depresso. So, well, with those heals out of the action, Maxwell is going to go ahead and swap on over to the Tracer. But I'm not for certain if that's the answer right there. Maybe the swap is now to look into just ignore the Pharah, as some teams typically do. And wow, really wanted to take out Specs there.
I mean,
definitely wasn't expecting that.
Life is doing his job. He's getting that burst damage, getting quick barrages, and getting picks off of it. But because of how slow Kryix has to play, as I've mentioned before, I mean, this is Life's like fifth kill of the fifth final blow of the match. It's his fourth, actually. We have that stat up there. But because of how slow they have to play in order to get that value, we have already seen 30% and counting before we can even think about swapping this back over for Ignition.
Yeah, they've got to really grab control of this objective, and as we know, control works, as long as one body is on that field, it's going to work out for you. And here comes the Nano in onto Life, looking to playing disco ball in the center right there. We do see the minefield come out from Pear in that update. Literally just sets a trap for Sarah to fall into. Will get eliminated, and the staggers continue to come in, but they're just not willing to let go of this objective. They will gladly continue to sacrifice life after life right now, staggering out players to make sure that they can hold this in their value. And here we go, already up to 80% on the objective.
The kills continue to come through for Ignition, but they just can't finish the job. They can't get everyone off the point at once. They just need a little bit more. Life doing everything he possibly can, but Seraphine is once again doing his best disco ball impression, and Pear is just spinning in circles trying to take this down. We're at 99%, Jack. It's just been a stagger fight the whole time, and we finally get the swap for Ignition, but the stagger fight was so incredibly worth it.
I gotta be honest with you, Dividing. I don't think Kryix even tried. I don't think they tried to take out anybody. They're like, okay, the goal, play pacifist mode, see if we can get it to 99. And there it is. There's the first elimination. Coming in for Kryix, finds a Legola with the self-destruct. The cleanup is coming in. Even trades thus far as Hidden and Maxwell able to find something with those pulse guns right there. We do see the cleanup coming in though, and it is deadly. At the 42% mark, we will see control swap back over to the side of Kryix. Maybe Pear might be able to get there just barely. A second away and would have been able to make it with that nano and minefield in tow. But we're going to go ahead and see Kryix take map 1 of Oasis, really putting the pressure, putting the heat on for Ignition.
I want to point something out here real quick. Life has 10 final blows for his team so far on Oasis. The rest of the team, 13. Very close to a Fleta deadlift coming up from a Life on that first round. Unfortunately, University Pharah is going to struggle a little bit more because of those closed-in ceilings. But we are going to stick with it because it is what we have seen work so far. We just gotta see more focus fire coming up from Ignition because they had control of the point for a majority of that round. They just couldn't deal with the staggers.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? Is that I don't, like, I love Life, and they seem to be doing a great job with the final blows, but the cleanup is just so slow. They are just working at such a slow pace. But maybe, just maybe, they might be able to turn the tide here. There's not a lot of room to hide around or zip in from for the side of Kryix. Let's see if they can make it happen. We got a couple trades on the field. Depresso already down, so not going to have that hit scan. And Maximum is swapped over to the Doom. Right? Looking to take care of, I'm guessing, everybody other than Life, which Life continues to take said lives from the side of Kryix. But the point has not gone into either team's favor thus far. They're cleaning up either side. Life, Maxwell, Depresso, pair, trade upon trade upon trade upon trade. Doesn't seem to be either team really locking it in. A little bit of golf coming in there from Specs as they send Pair into the middle hole. Amp Matrix and Deadeye coming out, finds Pair, but the minefield locks down the entrance. Self-destruct clears it out a little bit. Pulse bomb in as well, and somebody takes the objective. Kryix able to get that percentage moving, but I think dividing, here it goes, round 2 electric boost, and the staggers are just gonna hold.
This is a mess. This is such a mess, Jack. Everyone's going everywhere. Life is just continuing to get picks, but it does not matter in the slightest because this rush comp from Kryix continues to hold strong. They just can't, they can get the picks, but they can't fully clear them out. Now, Kryix gets to hold. Seraphine's about to have the Shatter up, is going to use it, and Pair is locked up and taken down. That's the main initiator out of the fight for Ignition.
And the cleanup is fierce as well. Ram with a little bit of tinnitus for a hidden in the pocket as they make their way up to 50%. I'm just doing some quick maths in my head right now, dividing. I'm just looking at the final blows for the side of Kryix. I'm pretty sure that Life probably has all of them beat, yet they are still winning.
That's actually, wait, let me look at this now. I think you might be right that Life might have more final blows than the entirety of Kryix, but because of their passive gameplay and honestly Ignition's inability to fully clear them out, it's simply not going to matter. Specs is now going to just jump on off of the point. Knows that, you know what, he'll probably get back before it's time anyways. I think at this point, Ignition, we're seeing the hog and ball coming out from both sides. Life has barraged into his own spawn. I think this might be as good as over, but as I say that, now actually the picks start coming through for Ignition. Hidden starts coming alive now.
That is true. Let's hope that they can turn the tide. One thing that, with everything moving so quickly, we forgot to even mention the MVP votes. Let's hope that this isn't the last map, folks, to start getting those votes in quickly. There it is. Life with the aggression grabs the double kill, and there it is. Finally able to flip it over, but here we go with history repeating itself. 99% for Kryix. The lockdown has to happen now.
See, they've got it. All they need is one fight win from Kryix to win this. But the thing is, they are they're in throw mode, honestly. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing an Echo without any sort of mercy, any sort of support. I'm seeing Hog Diva. I'm seeing a team that is like, we've got this. We can just play whatever and win. And that concerns me because a team in that mentality could very easily find themselves in a lot more trouble than they think.
Yeah, the issue is that they can play that if they're winning, right? You don't play that when you've got nothing left to lose at this point. But maybe that's the kind of desperation we're seeing here. Maybe the team is just made up of more individual players that can take those 1v1s a lot easier than the team fights. And there it is. Finally, Life making their way above a 20 eliminations, or 20 final blows, rather. And they're getting that percentage up there. They got it locked down, and that stagger on specs is definitely going to help.
I mean, statistically, this is an insane game for Life. 21 final blows, 4 deaths, 13,000 damage. It's insane. As now, with 80% counting for Ignition, I think Kryix has realized, oh shoot, we might actually lose this. So back to an actual comp we go, and Ram is going to use the beat to engage.
Yeah, you do kind of hate it when you start running a fun comp and they're like, oh, they're actually trying now? Oh man, I guess we got to go back. But it looks like maybe we were going to see a little bit of compassion, a little bit of mercy from Kryix, but no, that will not happen. The hat comes in, but we do see a door on that objective holding strong for now. What? Sniping Life out of the sky. Lucio. Lucio is thirsty right now. With the double kill, but gets a peace bomb to the face. And that is that. The university has been shut down by Kryix and locks out Ignition. The flames have been extinguished. And we will see Kryix move on to meet Solstice Esports in the next round of the losers bracket.
An outcome that seemed determined from the very beginning. No matter what Ignition tried to do, what they tried to throw at Kryix, they simply shrugged it off and said, is that all you got? And they just outclassed them in every step of the game today. That is unfortunately what I saw. Ignition, a great team. I've been really impressed by what I've seen from them at times, and I think with more practice, if this team stays together, they really could start to challenge those higher tiers, but today it was not meant to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get my wife to give me like a sage cleansing or something, because I feel like I'm bringing some bad juju in for some of these teams, like these stomps. You know, every time I walk in here, it just seems to not be one team's day. And, you know, sorry that we have to see you go so soon, Ignition, but hopefully we'll see you back another time. Kryix, though, does get the chance to move on, does get to continue their tournament lives. In the meantime, once again, they will be moving on to meet off against, I believe, I said Solstice.
Solstice sounds right.
Yeah, Solstice Esports in the third round of the losers bracket. The other side of that is going to be Bay State versus the USCS Slugs.
Collegiate Showdown. That's exciting.
Yeah.
By the way, that MVP voting, that's going to be closing any second now that the game is over. Obviously, Life statistically put up a great game on Oasis, but all of the members of Kryix played incredibly. I want to give a shout out to the support line there. Narwhal and Ram, both offensively and defensively, they played a great game, and I think the rest of the players on Kryix were able to pop off because those supports were putting them in a great position. But as far as who you think did the best, go on down to the About section, vote for your team MVP. You don't have much time left to do it. And hopefully we'll be getting into a post-game interview with the winner in a couple of minutes.
That's true. I just put my vote in to just see where we're sitting at. It looks like we'll be getting either Pear or Maxwell, depending on how the votes shake out here in the end. But folks, we do want to remind you, not all these matches are complete 3-0 stomps here. So if you want to see some amazing Overwatch action still yet to come, be sure to hit that heart annihilate bell so you get notified every time we're online. You can also hit that sub button. Once again, September 20% off. So it's $3.99, or Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime sub gives you access to some amazing community emotes, as well as support our amazing community as well. Looking at the schedule, kind of moving forward now, we pretty much only have 3 matches on the books. We have Andy's Daycare versus Gaia Esports sitting up in that winner's final spot. Zooming in so that I can try to see what day that is going to be on. It looks like it's going to be on the 21st. So let's hunt down. Looks like the next matchups will actually be the losers bracket round 3. So we'll be seeing first Bay State versus the UCSC Slugs at 6 p.m. on the 20th, which I believe is Monday. And then that will be followed by Kryix versus Solstice Esports. The next day, on the 21st, that Tuesday, you'll be seeing the winners finals between Andy's Daycare and Gaia Esports. And then we'll be continuing our run through the losers bracket until we get to that final spot. So I believe we finally do have our MVP in here. Pear, how is it going?
Well, you saw the match, so.
Yes, we did.
It was indeed a match that happened. So, I mean, Pear, from your point of view, what do you think happened today?
Well, I mean, they're better players, right? I think a lot of them have a lot more experience than we do. During this last couple of weeks of scrims, we've pretty much had a rough time meshing as a team. I think there's a lot of macro knowledge that we still need to be working on. But I'm proud of the guys today. We stayed grounded and we had a good mental throughout the whole thing, even if they were like kind of trolling last map. Like you saw that Ryan was literally shielding a Torb turret. So you know.
Well, they were just trying to give some kind of mercy, a little bit of empathy, because nobody likes getting stomped out.
Well,
like that.
I feel like at that point it's just I don't know.
Just end the pain. Just rip the Band-Aid off at that point.
Yeah.
No, I can totally understand that. So, you were talking a little bit about mechanics and whatnot that you all have been working on. Are there particular teams that you've kind of been trying to mirror or learn mechanics from, whether it be from within the Star Esports tournament itself, or looking all along the path to pro system?
I mean, we just look at all owl VODs. Like, I'll lead the group in a team VOD and we'll see what they do and try to mimic it and like try to figure out the reasons why. We still have a long way to go, obviously, but I'm proud of the guys today. They definitely held through with their mental, and I can only do so much mid-map coaching.
Yeah.
Totally understandable. Would you say that there's a particular team that you all are worried about in your upcoming matches?
I don't know. I don't think it's useless to be worried about a team.
All right.
Fair enough.
Well...
play with confidence no matter who it is. I like that mentality. Moving forward, looking at all of the teams that are still alive in the Overwatch All-Star Brawl, as sort of parting words, who do you have your money on going into this rest of this tournament? Who do you think is going to come out on top?
I don't know. I actually have no idea.
Just say a team name so we can roast you when it's not right.
I have not even looked at all the teams in the thing. I'll just
Kryix.
Kryix.
See,
man.
I'm so focused on getting better at it.
I guess that's fair. Hey,
Pear's got the big brain going on. If I don't know who I'm playing, then I don't got to worry about them. So all I got to focus is on my mental and getting my skill up, and that is pretty cool. I actually kind of like that mentality. So, needless to say, that's pretty much all that we've got for you. There's not really a whole lot more that we could say about this matchup. It was very, very one-sided. So, is there anybody that you'd like to shout out or thank for today before we send you on back to your team?
I shout out my team. I love them.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Pear. We'll go ahead and let you go. And thank you, folks at home, for joining us today on the All-Star Brawl. Once again, you can always catch the action going on right here at twitch.tv/Star Esports Live. You can also follow us on Twitter at Star Esports Live, I think, maybe.
I think that's right.
No, I believe that's right. I'm not certain if the live part is on the end of that, but I believe that there is a command, or the Nightbot will correct us on that. But dividing, this was as we said before, it was a match, and it was an unfortunate match that it had to go down this way. But we have to believe that the players gave it their all, that they did everything that they could to try to make it happen, and it just wasn't Ignition's time this time. Doesn't mean that they won't be able to bring it back next time. Any other parting words that you have for the folks at home before we sign off for the day?
I just want to thank Ignition for coming out and participating in the Overwatch All-Star Brawl. While not able to come out on top today, I do believe being able to come together with all these super talented tier 3 teams and test your might against them is still an incredible opportunity. And I really do truly believe that if Ignition is able to stay together as this team and keep on working on that macro knowledge, like Pear mentioned, that they really can rise up and challenge these guys. I really do believe that. I have been impressed by them at times. And otherwise, always a pleasure to cast for this tournament. And I had a great time, no matter what the outcome of the game is.
Absolutely. Same here. Want to give a special thank you to Refused for producing our match today. Definitely couldn't do it without you. From all of us here at Star Esports, that's dividing. My name's Captain Jack, and we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.